Okay, good morning so far? Yes. So I first want to apologize to Dr. Valak for us cutting his presentation short and to thank him for being so nimble and flexible. I want to thank Camilla for her facilitation this morning. And as my staff is wont to do, they fact-checked me from my opening remarks. And so it wasn't Yuma that we did our Symposium Unplugged, it was Canyon City. So sorry, Yuma, because the people from Yuma were going, we have a place that big in Yuma that holds 300 people? No, you don't. But Canyon City does, and that's where we were. And then we can't even agree on what number of Licona awards this is. So in 2016, we gave the award to Dr. Licona. Then last year, we gave it to the first community member, and now we're going to give it to the second community member. So depending on when you start counting, it's either 2 or 3. I'm going with 3. So before we break for lunch, we do want to take the time to present the Virgilio Licona Award. The award is in honor and recognition of Dr. Licona's work, and his work as a nationally recognized kind of community organizer, community member who really fought on the ground for the rights of low-income, minority, marginalized communities and their health and their right to be able to be as healthy as possible. Dr. Licona's wife, Barbara, isn't able to be here with us today, but his daughter, Tara, and his grandson, Francisco, are here. Welcome back. Thank you. We'll have you up in just a few moments. I want to announce this year's winner. As I said, this award seeks to honor on-the-ground change-makers in Colorado who are finding innovative and relentlessly persistent ways to fight for Coloradans who face barriers. Our awardee this year is Liza Marron. Come on up, Liza. On behalf of the foundation and the board, we want to congratulate and recognize Liza. She has been, relentless I think is a word for those of you who know Liza, who have even just talked with her for a few minutes, realize that the relentlessness at which she's worked to shine a light on community health issues by raising the voices of the people who live in the shadows. She lives up to this award because equity is at the heart of her agenda and heart of everything she believes in. With her DNA, her molecular DNA, I think. And she's worked to develop programs and policies that advance food access and education, especially for migrant workers. She is the founding director of the San Luis Valley Local Foods Coalition, and she's helping to foster an equitable food system in her community. So let's all congratulate Liza. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the powerful conversation this morning. It's hard to follow that. I feel like chucking my speech and talking about how behavioral health and opioid addiction has affected our community. But I'm going to stick with my speech here. And I'm very honored, blessed, happy, excited to be here in the name of Dr. Virgilio Licona. La Clínica del Valle was such an important place for the people of Rocky Ford and for the people that came there to care for the crops and received health care with integrity and dignity. What an honor it is to follow in his name, and I look forward to meeting his daughter and his grandson. And my son Antonio was very excited that there was going to be a peer in the room for him while he was here today. I also want to acknowledge what an impact the Colorado Health Foundation has been for Colorado for the San Luis Valley, and for me personally. The Colorado Health Foundation invested in our community through the Live Well Colorado for 8 years, and our community coalition built strong capacity for healthy eating and active living across the lifespan throughout the 6 counties of the San Luis Valley, all the while respecting the community voice as to what shape our work would take. And then Karen Miller came to the helm, and she came around all our communities listening to what we had to say. Very powerful. Hillary and Monica, and now Christopher Smith and Monique Johnson, they come and sit in our communities around our table and are comfortable at our table as they are at their own, I think. And it's really great to have such a presence. I wonder if you could clap if you're from the San Luis Valley. Who's out there from the San Luis Valley? Woo! There's my peeps. I can't believe I'm up here in front of 600 people. That's more people that live in my hometown of Saguache. So this is very exciting. I'd like to thank my family, Antonio George Pacheco Marin. Full of life, he keeps me young. Mikey, my personal cheerleader right here. My children, Cody, Emily, Henry, Casey, Sam, Juanita, and Sarah, who couldn't be here but have made my life so rich. My colleagues, especially Julie Mordecai, who has been the most important mentor of this work for me. She's so knowledgeable about nonprofits. She's taught me to not be afraid to fundraise. She's taught me how to do process, how to invite everybody to the table, and really make a community space. So thank you, Julie, so much for that work. Loved my board of directors. I tried to get them to all come here, but they didn't want to leave their weekly work for a 15-minute thing, so they're still back at home working, holding down the fort. But my board of directors, my staff, and mostly the community voice, which has informed all the work that we have done. Is anyone in the house who went to the powerful Well-Being Legacy convening in Oakland a couple weeks ago? Okay, well, when I was in Oakland, when the people heard I was from Colorado, they said they were going to be here in a couple weeks for this convention. But we went to a very powerful convening of organizers and institutions coming together to scale up well-being in our country at such a critical time. It's actually, there's a cool story. These sisters from the Catholic Church extracted all this money, and they created this new foundation called the Well-Being Trust Foundation, and their mandate is to scale up well-being in our country. Very powerful, and we began talking about the increasing deaths of despair, including on the First Americans' reservation lands. Deaths due to loneliness and isolation resulting in suicide, overdose, and violence. The enormous number of people that we incarcerate, and the disproportionate incarceration of people of color. The youth of East Oakland shared their fears, and although police brutality, street violence, and racism were a big part of their fears, their greatest spoken fear was of gentrification. 15-year-olds who are working to pay rent that parents can't cover by themselves, and families on the brink of homelessness. The Well-Being Trust came up with 7 vital conditions for well-being across our country. The convening was so important and relevant, and the work that needs to be done, and that many of you are doing, is uncomfortable. And I ask for courage for all of us. Me, I love meetings, and that really helps in this work. I love Salt of the Earth people. I loved my clients at Department of Human Services when I worked there. I love the youth I have worked with. I've been a longtime foster and adoptive mother. I worked at the San Luis Valley Behavioral Health on the youth prevention team. And because of the leadership and vision of Clarissa Woodworth, who I think is in the room. Are you in the room? Oh, she's on her way up. Well, anyway, we landed the Live Well Community Healthy Eating Active Living investment in our community. The community sustained that work and the investment of all the funders with the San Luis Valley Local Foods Coalition. And we now work to create an equitable local food system where the people are connected with the historic connections we've always had with the land, with the seed, with the soil, with the farmer, and whole foods. People who work the fields and the warehouses can access the fresh food they help to grow. We live by the permaculture creed: earth care, people care, fair share. I love the story of the woman who believes her cheese will taste better because she kisses her goat's ears. I believe food is medicine, and everyone should have access to good food. I believe the future is feminine, not the gender, but the pathways of collaboration, cooperation, and nurturing. I constantly hear a clarion call to action. I'm uncomfortable in what needs to be done to scale up well-being for all people in our state and our country. We first must make reparations to the people whose land this is that we have taken for our own and teach our children true history. Many did not cross the border crossed them. We must step back. We must step back and become an ally and an accomplice with the members of our community who don't have civic muscle and whose life includes less access to health and well-being and fear of violence from power. I'm so blessed to see 600 changemakers in this room. Thank you for not giving up hope and stretching to embrace health equity and social justice. Many of you deal with the most vulnerable members of our community. I like to say that in Boulder, everybody has a therapist, and no offense to Boulderites. But in my community, therapy is often court-ordered and part of the legal system. So there's much shame associated with it. Many of you are working to change this, and I thank you for that. Just because of the storytelling, I wasn't going to say this, but my first husband, Kelly, died of an opioid overdose. He nodded out in the bathtub and drowned. And so I think, when the beautiful storytelling of Dana, thank you, says, there's not many people out here who know this story. I bet you all of us are touched somewhere by somebody that we love that we no longer have. Some of you are my friends and colleagues, and many of you are friends I haven't met yet, but we're all working together to make this world a more equitable place for all of us. So I'm going to leave you with my favorite words from Nelson Mandela. We must take care of the old ones, for they've come a long way. And we must take care of the young ones, for they have a long way to go. And we must take care of each other, for we have much work to do.
Let me invite Liza's family up, and Tara and Prince Fernando, come on up. So we have for Liza's beautiful bowl that was made by a Colorado artist. I'm going to let Tara present this to Liza. I don't know how heavy it is, so I'll let you present it to Liza.